We do have another question coming in from Facebook. This is Michelle Day Isherwood of Lenox. I hope I pronounced that right. If not, I apologize. Building on the solar energy question, what is your stand on wind energy vis-a-vis the WESRA legislation? Are you for or against this bill? I have heard you have not made up your mind. What will it take for you to make up your mind, as many people are against taking power away from towns like Lenox? Thank you, she says.
Thank you for the question, Michelle. I think relative to wind energy, I think wind energy can be a part of the solution to making a transition to an energy efficient, clean energy economy. Not every wind project that's proposed is a good project, but I think that the current process that we have doesn't help towns. I think you end up with a long process through which you do not get to yes or no quick enough so that we ultimately have these fights that divide towns over years, even when in some cases they may have voted for or against a project. So in the past, yes, last session, legislative session, I voted for the Wind Energy Siting Reform Act. I was not at that time a member of the Telecom Utilities and Energy Committee. This time, I am not only a member of that committee, I'm a chair of that committee. And last session, I heard from many of my constituents that they were dismayed that only one hearing was held on that bill. They were concerned that a bill that could have an impact on their community was only heard once in the state capitol, and very little coverage was given to it. So as chair of the committee, I committed to having 2 hearings outside of the State House for that bill. We had a hearing in Hancock where we were able to observe 2 projects there and to hear from proponents and opponents of the bill. And we will have a hearing at the end of this week at the Cape at Barnstable High School, where we will hear from the public there in open testimony. It is the only bill that we have had 2 hearings on. It is the only bill that we have had hearings outside of the State House on. Wow. Why? Well, because it's important and because it's a bill where there is a great deal of concern, and I think it's something that we ought to address. Why is it even being proposed? During the Green Communities Act, there was an amendment filed to the Green Communities Act which would have exempted any clean energy project from local zoning at all. Myself and a large group of senators at the time, because the amendment was filed in the Senate, said to the proponents of that amendment, we think there are a lot of concerns here. We ought to establish a commission and develop what the different challenges are around siting different types of renewable energy. That would have exempted biomass projects, it would have exempted hydro projects, solar, wind, any others from all zoning. They came back with a set of recommendations. Over the course of last legislative session, I met with just about everyone who called my office, actually with everyone who called my office, about wind-related issues, both those who supported and those who opposed, and in many cases went and visited the sites in the Berkshires where they had and hadn't been proposed. I think ultimately that there is a way to develop a process under which communities retain local control, but instead of having this dragged out process, we can actually get to yes or no on a project quicker by having statewide standards to be able to say here's what setbacks ought to be, here's what the impacts of public health that we have to mitigate against should be, all of those things. A final point. My committee is obviously still considering this legislation. We still have another hearing. One thing I am absolutely committed to is waiting until the Department of Environmental Protection and the Department of Public Health comes forth with their current studies of the health impacts of wind turbines. It's something that a lot of groups have been asking for, something I think they were right to ask for, and I think we shouldn't move forward on legislation until we have the results of that. So as of this session, we are still considering it, and I would encourage Michelle, if she has a group of people who she may think may want to meet with me or talk with me about it, I am happy to do so.
Excellent.